What's happening, Jeff Gamble, Indianapolis, and today we're going over the Law of Magnetism on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So for those of you just joining us, appreciate you coming on. Like, share, or comment. Somebody who needs to see this, and if you're watching the replay, as always, type in replay. Please type in where you're joining us from. We'd love to see that. Hi, Joyce. How are you? Hi, Julie. How are you? We've got a good one today, the Law of Magnetism. If you're not familiar with this, this was one of the ones that was eye-opening and shocking to me. And virtually the whole book was, but specifically this particular law was a wake-up call. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. This is information that will definitely set your business in a different phone call here. Austin, Texas is with us. Welcome. Let me send over this invite real quick. And Travis is with us. Travis, how are you? And please just type in where you're coming from. I know Travis travels all over the country as well, so there's no telling where he could be. He could be at home, but I've seen him in Florida and out west and everywhere else, so hopefully things are going well. Again, today is the Law of Magnetism. So we're going to get rolling here in just a second. Waiting for Bess to come on. Okay, we got everything set up and rolling. So how have you guys liked these so far? I'd love to hear that in the comments. If you have a particular law that stood out so far, we'd love to hear that. Hi, Maureen. Maureen's probably coming to us from Michigan, I'm guessing. But today is the Law of Magnetism. I see Bess just joined us. Hold on one second. Five, four, three, two, one. Here we are. She's live.
Hey, everyone. How's everyone today? Law of Magnetism. Pretty cool. Ninth law of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I am Bess McCarty with the MLM Millionaire Club, and this is Jeffrey David Gamble with my Leadership Network, a certified John Maxwell trainer. So we're partnering to bring you every noon lunchtime, Eastern time, these generic trainings, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Crucial to having a team to follow you and be effective as a leader. Our purpose, to help people grow, to educate, empower, and equip entrepreneurs, and to create independent servant leaders. They say to do personal growth work every day, like a half hour to an hour of personal growth work is essential for success, to work on ourselves. So you can do that with us, with this show. You can make the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show every noon your personal growth time. You just put it on automatic, just plug into these, watch us. If you miss us, watch the replay on the Facebook group MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So it's all there for you, and it's very powerful. And this is the most powerful stuff that we know in personal growth to bring you to create a good team and to create success in your business. So that's why we're doing it. And Jeff, I'm ready to take notes. I got my pen and paper. All distractions are cleared, and I'm ready to give what you have to share with us my total attention.
Well, this is one of those laws that jumped out at me that was really different from almost every other one that was there. It was a definite wake-up call, simply because I think we all get into direct sales or building our own business, and there's certain people we want on our team. There's certain people we want to attract. And the Law of Magnetism spells out a lot of things, a lot of lessons. And basically, it was not the good one for me. But I digress. Let's get into this. Leaders attract people like themselves. So law number 9 says the Law of Magnetism, who you are is who you attract, not who you want. And that was a really hard thing for me to read and hear. And the more I read into this, I kind of got upset. And I was like, wait a minute. Because we all want that person that's committed. We all want that person that's driven. We all want that person that's enthusiastic. We all want that person that has those qualities to be able to build. But the law of magnetism teaches we don't get that person. We get the person who we're like. So all of a sudden I had to really look at myself and start evaluating things. It says, learning the law of magnetism. Number one, generation. Most organization groups, companies, or even departments attract individuals similar to their age. Now, I would say they attract individuals similar to their age that they act like. If you act like a fool, you will attract fools. If you attract younger, more vibrant, you will attract younger, more vibrant people. Whatever you're used to doing. So generational is one of them. Who are you relating to? Hi, Victoria. How are you? So number two, backgrounds, the personal circumstances and experience that help shape someone's life. For example, ethnic, social, upbringing, educational, work experience. I actually was listening to a gentleman who's very successful inside of this business, inside of the industry of direct sales. And he built an organization that's pretty much unbelievable. I mean, still to date, one of the largest organizations that's still intact from its original beginning. And what's interesting is he said, sometimes people will come up to me and they'll be like, why does everybody on your team look the same? And he's like, because the neighborhood I grew up in, everybody looked the same, you know? I mean, and he was talking about his ethnic background. Is most of the people look like him because that's predominantly who he knew. He said, you're going to go recruit who you know. And they're going to go recruit who they know. So wherever you start from, that's probably what's going to happen. And one of the things that I thought was always cool is I've always been around diverse people. So therefore I was always able to attract a very diverse team. Every background, every age group. Maybe that's because I act young sometimes and old sometimes. I'm not exactly sure. But I was also able to attract really good people with certain qualities because I think I was driven. I found driven people. And that's what we're going to talk about. Number three is attitude. The way a person views something tends to, you know, go towards how he behaves towards other people. So that attitude of, you know, I was driven. That was one thing that helped me. The attitude that, you know, maybe it's the ADHD, maybe it's not even being driven. But it was just kind of like I wanted to grow. I loved building things growing up, so I found people who also love to build houses, build businesses. I've got some friends right now that are building non-for-profits, and it seems like every time I'm around them, they're building. Ironic, you know, or coincidence, more or less, that, you know, that's what I was, so that's what I was attracted to. And every time I get around those people, that's what we talk about. We talk about building, so the attitude. Living the law of magnetism says, before going any further, make a list of the qualities that you're looking for in people around yourself. So this is where you sit down and you create an avatar. And what an avatar in computers is basically a made up person scenario of, you know, what you want. So what qualities, I think that would be a really good question to ask. That would be a good Facebook question, Bess, to ask, is what qualities do you look for inside of a leader on your team? Who do you want to bring on? And I think there's two categories here. And this is where I think a lot of people mess up a little bit, is people think the only thing they're doing inside of direct sales is looking for leaders. Now, the reason I think most people have this mentality is most people are looking for somebody who will do it without them. Most people are looking for somebody where they can find somebody else who will do all the work and they can walk away and do nothing. That's the mentality. In fact, that's the lottery mentality that most people have when they first see this. Hi, Kayla. That's unfortunate, because if you only find people who are looking for other people to do the work and nobody wants to do the work, there's nobody working on your team. Everybody's just looking for somebody else to do it. And here's the thing, people will see right through that when you sit down and contact them. If that really is your motive, is to get someone else to do it, it's going to shine through and people are going to find you out or figure you out very quickly. Now determine if you possess those qualities. So the first thing is write down all the qualities you want. The second thing is, after you find these qualities, figure that out. Now, here's what I was taught, and this goes into a little bit more depth because we're going to hit this from the direct sales or the MLM or the network marketing perspective, is there's a bunch of different people who come onto your team. Some people are there for a day. Some people are there for a season. Some people are, you know, committed for a lifetime. It just depends. Nicholas, how are you? So what you have to realize is who came onto your team. And what is the overall objective? You know, some people lose thought of the overall objective. They're like, I only have 9 people and none of them are doing anything. I said, are they buying your product? They said, well, yeah, but they're not doing anything. And I'm like, you have to realize the pyramid of motivation. So if you take the pyramid of motivation, the very bottom level says that 27% of people do nothing. Worse than do nothing, they do nothing and complain about it. So, I mean, these are the people that you could drop a gold brick in the yard and they would sue the city because, you know, their grass is dead. You know, I mean, they'll find a reason to be negative. Now, if you keep going up, a smaller section, but a larger section, you know, smaller at the base, but larger overall, 60% of people are motivatable. Motivatable meaning if you're leading, if you're in front of them, if you have the conversations, if you build the relationships with them, these are people that you can get moving in a direction, but they're influential to whatever they're watching. If they're watching bad stuff on TV, that's what they're going to talk about. If there's a corruption / you know, catastrophe, that's the conversation that they're going to be in. Whatever last happened at work, that's what they're going to be talking about. They are influential and they're also motivatable. So these are people that you physically have to reach out to and get in front of and start getting moving in the right direction. And that takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. But in the end, is it worth it? Yes, that's where you're serving the team. Now, if you go up that pyramid of motivation a little bit higher, you get to the 10%. 10% of people are motivated. They're just motivated. They might not know the direction, but they're motivated. They're already doing stuff. These are great people to find, but they're hard to change direction, meaning they're hard to get to start doing something. They're motivated. They're already building businesses. I just had a conversation with a lady who actually spent 10 years inside of sales, regular sales, not direct sales, just regular sales. She sold billboards. And she was saying, you know, it's hard to find people that are self-motivated. She said, but when I first started my network marketing business, she went from 0 to 6 figures because everybody she talked to was like her, you know. So that's one thing. You'll see somebody build very quickly inside of another business and you attract who you are. So if you already have those qualities, guess what? She was able to recruit those qualities right away because she already had them. When you already have those qualities, it's very easy, or it's more easy to get in and get going a little bit quicker. Ignacio, what's happening? So we look for those people. So you want to be motivated if you want to attract motivated people. You want to be enthusiastic if you want enthusiastic people. But understand, the majority, the 27%, watch this, 27% of the people will get in just to complain about what's going on because now they have an ear that will listen to them. I mean, it's still, it boggles my mind. I have a mentor that was like, they get in and they complain. He's like, in fact, they get in and they complain and you can't get them out. He's like, you can't make them quit. They'll come to everything. They'll show up early. They'll sit on the front row and talk about how cold it is, how warm it is. Did you notice that it's raining today? I mean, he's like, I don't know what to do with them. He said, but understand, the more of them that you have, the freer you are. I was like, wow. I was like, I never thought of that. He goes, so understand, there's the ideal of what you want, but you have to understand the objective is to bring someone in. It doesn't matter if they're at the 27%, if they're at the 60%, if they're at the 10%, or they're the 3%. Now, the 3% are the motivators. Those are the people that can get the 60 and the 10 to move in the right direction. But what do you have to have? You have to have that level of leadership that can pull that group of people in a direction. And if you don't have those leadership qualities, that's why we're doing this. That's why this is something to study. And guys, this is just one book. John's written almost 100 books on this particular subject of leadership. So there's things you need to develop inside yourself. There's things you need to develop about yourself, about teams. There's things about intentionality. There's things about like mindset, about growth and how you want to do things. James, what's up? And what we're talking about is magnetism. Who are you going to attract? You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. And that's a problem. I mean, that's a problem for me because I find I'm involved in a lot of stuff. So guess what? When I go out, I find a lot of people who are involved in a lot of stuff. And what I mean by a lot of stuff is they're not just in business, they're in business and they're also building through other things. I mean, Bess and I talk, you know, we have a holistic background, we have the martial arts background, we have the massage background. I mean, we have a lot of backgrounds. So therefore, we're tied to a lot of people, but we have a lot of directions that we get pulled. So I find myself, this has nothing to do with Bess, I find myself sometimes sitting, and I just did this recently because I just got out of school and I came through and I had to like debrief myself and go, okay, focus again. You've got this list of stuff. What makes the most sense in the most order? My massage holistic business is number one. That's the majority. That's where my money comes from. So that, what I call that is number one. That's the number one thing I have to pay attention to, have to track, have to know what's going on. The second thing is, you know, direct sales. You know, if you're in a direct sales company, that has to be your second thing. Your third thing is giving back and building and all this other stuff. That's the third thing. If you don't have the second thing, it's hard to teach the third thing, for in my case. So these are things that you want to know, you know, priority, right? Law of magnetism. So you're going to attract who you are. You want to get good. If you attract diverse people, you want to get good yourself at being able to prioritize and being able to do the right things in the right order. Because if not, you're going to attract people who can't do that either. And then you've got a bunch of people who are really motivated all running around in a circle. Hi, Judy. How are you? So now determine if you possess all of these qualities. So there's the qualities you want on your team. You know, you want somebody who's motivated. You want somebody who's enthusiastic. You want somebody who's determined. You want somebody who, watch this. It's funny that we want some diverse things. We want leaders, but we want people who will follow directions at the same time. Usually leaders aren't the ones who follow directions right away. So you have to be really, really, really going, meaning you have to be really setting a very, watch this, a loud example of what to do. A loud example, meaning you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's really hard in direct sales, especially when you're new, because you're learning all these different things. And you're like, okay, I'm doing it this way. And then another leader comes in and says, no, I do it that way. And then another leader comes in and says, no, I do it that way. So what I found is you want to limit the amount of information, the amount of choices, and say, yes, there's these different ways. And Bess and I have talked a lot about this. There's these different ways to contact, but what is the best? There's these different ways to set an appointment, but what is the best? There's these different ways to present the information, but what is the best? What is the best is not, what is the best for you isn't always the best for the team, isn't always the best for the organization. So you have to pick out not only what's good, but what's the best for the overall. That will help considerably build an organization and say, I don't want to do the best what's for me. I want to do the best for the organization, so that way it'll duplicate, move away from me. And I have the ability to do this. You know, so many people talk about how hard they work inside the industry, and I'm not against working hard, because that's one of the qualities you want. But I also want people who work smart. I'm not looking to do this 15, 16, 18 hours a day. I'm looking to give it the time it needs in a very short amount of time. And here's what's interesting. I've learned that professionals, true professionals, can go in and do what's needed to be done to set the example, to outwork everybody in a shorter amount of time than the average person, because they're focused and they know what to do. I was listening to a gentleman by the name of Phil Heath. Now, most people have no idea who Phil Heath is, but right now he's tied as the greatest bodybuilder of all time with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's won seven consecutive, I believe, bodybuilding championships. The guy is enormous. I mean, amazing physique, magical physique almost. I mean, he's completely symmetrical. He's too big, but that's just personal opinion. But amazing, amazing guy. And one of the things he said is, he talked about forced tension over time. And he was talking about, you know, some people can go in and they're really strong, and some people could go in and they can work out for 4 hours. He goes, I'll be real honest, because of what I know, I can go in and I can work out half the time or a third the time that these other people are doing, and I get 100 times more out of it. Why? He goes, because my focus and knowing how it all works, I don't have to stay as long, because I'm able to get in so much more when I'm there. I'm focused on what I'm doing. I'm not on my phone. I'm not talking to the person next to me. I'm not looking up what I'm going to do. He already knew what he was going to do when he got in there. And it's forced tension over time. And I think the same thing is true inside of direct sales, is forced tension over time. The tension is how much are you pushing the business out? Meaning, how many people are you contacting? How many people are you presenting? It's so important to be able to build an organization, is being able to condense that. And here's the thing. There's a cross between working hard and looking like a maniac that I think a lot of people, you know, confuse. And here's the thing. We are in the attraction business. So when you come out and say, I'm working 10 hours a day, you just eliminated a lot of people. You are no longer attractive to people. So I went with the opposite. I was like, well, it's hard to see me work. I do, but it's hard to see me work. I work when I want to. I work as I want to, and that seems to be more attractive to people. So when I came across like that, people were like, oh, well, I kind of like this. So what we're talking about today is magnetism, being able to attract the right people to your team. And remember, we're in the attraction business. So if what you're doing, watch this, if what you're doing isn't attractive, if your lifestyle isn't attractive, if the way you're contacting people isn't attractive, and I don't mean physically attractive, because there's a lot of ugly millionaires. I'll be real honest. There's a lot of ugly millionaires, but their inside of who they are and helping people is very attractive. That's the attraction that we're talking about. Their methodology, is it attractive? Is it simple? Is it easy? The feelings that they bring up while they do the business, is it attractive? So take time right now to establish or review your personal mission statement about who you are, because the mission statement and the purpose statement and the vision statement about who you are will do what? It'll attract. So number one, the mission statement. Your mission is how you're going to get where you're going. That's your mission. Your vision statement, I always like to start out, and a vision statement is nothing more than saying in 2 to 5 years where you're going to be. So a vision statement is a place in time, an exact location in time, where you're describing what's going to happen by that point. So for instance, the vision we have is to fill a room of 100 people by October. I'm just going to use that. You're new to the business. I'm going to fill a room, wherever your room is. Now, your room might be virtual online. Your room might be physical in a hotel for your business, but I'm going to fill a room with 100 people. And 100 people might be too much for some of you. Maybe it's 10 people. Maybe you want to take up a row. You at least want to have somebody next to you. That's all I'm saying. So different visions for different people, but where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years? Here's what I found. I usually ask this, and you want to talk a lot about vision, in particular when you're talking about direct sales, is where you're going. And you have to get people to look at where they're headed. You know, in 2 to 5 years, if you keep doing what you're doing, other than a belt notch being bigger, where are you going to be? And somebody's like, oh, that's a good point. I said, because 2 to 5 years ago, are you wearing a different size pants? And people are like, he's a genius. No, it's just, that's what happens. So, you know, you want to ask that in a different way. And here's the thing, if you're funny, I found if you're funny, if you can make people laugh in the first 15 seconds, people are more attracted to that. Also, people are more attracted to your letdowns and your failures than they are your successes. So it's like 80%. Hey guys, let me tell you where I came from. That's more attractive to listen to, because what we found is that everybody has failure. Everybody has letdowns. But if we stood up and said, these are all the great things that we've done and all the good things that have happened, and we've never had any problems, people would want to throw stones and rocks at you. And I've seen that in meetings before. People get up and they're like, I'm great, and everything's always worked out, and I've never had any problems. And that's why when we tell our stories, we're going to attract who we are, but we're going to attract, here's the thing, you want to be able to attract people that have also had those problems and gotten out. Show people a way out. Show people a way out of their problems, right? So your vision. Next is your core values. What do you believe? Core values. That's a really good one to write down. You know, what are my beliefs? Who am I? How does that affect what I'm doing? We talk about philosophy. I think core values, your philosophy has a lot to do with that. Your programming has a lot to do with your core values, how you see things. That seeps down into your identity. So it's like your programming seeps down into your philosophy, that seeps down into your identity, that seeps down into how you think about things, that seeps down into the feeling you have, or your attitude. Your attitude comes down into your actions, and so on and so forth. So that programming part is so important. That top half of how everything works out has everything to do with the result at the bottom. Internalize your mission and vision statements, as well as your core values and social contract. Your social contract is, how will I act, or who will I be accountable to? That's kind of more methodology of how you're doing something. How are you going to live up to this? How are you going to look? It says, look for people who are in harmony with you, meaning look for people who are going in the same direction as you. Hey, I want to live a better life. Hey, I want to have more time with my kids. Hey, I want to, everything doesn't have to be the same. You know, some people like, they have to have my exact same political view and my exact same religious view and my exact same. I have people that are super diverse all across the board. I found a way to get along with everybody, and I found to keep some of the stuff that's confrontational away from what I'm doing, Internal, I have my own belief. I don't have to put it out there and beat people over the head with it. I'm able to attract everybody, and I'm able to have conversations with everybody. So part of it is knowing who you are and being okay with it. The other part is are you doing things that are, you know, instead of magnetizing people to you, are you doing things that are repelling people away from you? I see a lot of people do this. Negativity, what's going on, who did this, who did that, who said this, you know, all the Facebook share stuff. I mean, I'm like, I unfriend, I unfollow, I don't unfriend. I unfollow an enormous amount of people who just continuously put out garbage and propaganda. And some people don't know, then let me finish. Okay. So I was reading a text message. It says, find people who believe what you believe, but think different thoughts. In the end, believe what you believe. Meaning, I believe that we need to get to a better place. I believe that we need to take care of our kids. I believe that we need to live indoors. You know, I believe in air conditioning. You know, some people don't. I believe in, you know, income-wise, making more. I love what Grant Cardone said the other day. He's like, you don't make enough. He's like, you might say you're okay, but you don't make enough. And he goes, here's why I know you don't make enough, is he's like, you're not giving $1 million to charity. He's like, you're not giving $1 million to charity, so you are not making enough. He's like, is it a good idea to give $1 million to charity? Yes. Should you give $1 million to charity? Yes. If you have the ability to make over $1 million, should you give a portion away? He's like, so you're physically not making enough. Don't settle for where you're at because you're okay. I thought that was like, I was like, wow, that's a different way to look at it. That's a different standard, right? He goes in to say, you know, it's not only a social moral obligation to make more money. He's like, but it's necessary to survive. Because he said, if we're not growing, what are we teaching everybody else to do? Not grow. So think different thoughts. Leading others to the law of magnetism. When you hear anybody in a statement concerning all of their staff or all of their team, especially in a negative connotation, I just can't get my team to do anything. Better look at the scorecard or the activity board. What are you doing? When you hear a leader talk about, you know, well, I wish I had people like them. Well, it's very easy. Become like them. So these are some of the lessons about the law of magnetism that I've learned personally. And here's what I always try to tell people. I've screwed all this up. The reason I might be so strong on some of the topics is because I've personally messed it up. I've personally not been motivated. I've personally taken a bunch of time off. I've personally gone in the wrong direction. I've personally added too much. I've personally, you know, complicated everything. I didn't sit down and learn this. I wasn't humble. I wasn't listening. I was on a call last night, learning, you know, something that I should have learned a long time ago. And I was listening. I was like, oh, wow, that's so good. Why wasn't I on these calls before? And it was because I was busy or I had these reasons. And I'm like, if I want people on the calls, I have to be on the calls. So that's just where it's at. If you want people to show up to the events, you have to be where they're at. You have to show up to the event. But watch this. You have to show up first. You have to show up with the right attitude. You have to show up and stick and stay. You have to show up dressed right. And you've got to do it for a long enough time that you have the ability to attract other people. Ben, what's up, man? So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Bess for some of her insights on the law of magnetism, and we'll be back. Bess?
Thank you, Jeff. I think that you're helping to raise all of our bar. Every time I attend one of these shows, I see how I can improve. I see how much I get a point or two every show to improve myself. It's more than we think, right? So yeah. And thank you for also being an example of growing and improving, and so much of example of so much of what you're talking about. If you're watching the replay, you guys, please type replay so that we can thank you. Also love to hear where you're from. And if you got value with this, hopefully this is something that is bringing you value and that you want to share with people or tag people with. So we'd like to help as many people as possible. So let's see real quick, saying hi to James, Nancy, Judy, Henry, Kathy, Roy, and Victoria, and everybody that's on here. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you for all that you do. I really like the self-responsible thing. And this is a funny scenario, but can you imagine a leader leading troops in war who says, okay, you guys all line up, get your swords and shields ready. And when I say go, you charge, into the enemy and you fight real good, okay? And I'm going to just sit back here in this tent and have some dinner and take a nap. And when it's done, you come back and tell me how it all went and how y'all are, if there's any of you left. Okay, so how many people would follow a leader like that? You know, that's an exaggeration of what Jess said. Okay, I'm going to sign up everybody. They're doing the work. They're the peons. They're the workers. They're my employees. And I'm just supposed to sit back and watch them do the work for me and make me rich, right? Oh, that's real attractive. So the leader, who was it? The leader who really, forget the name, but a general who really got out and led. He was front line. He met the enemy first. Yeah, if he expects his people to, he meets the enemy first. He's there first. Top, fiercest, ready, you know, the fiercest fighter. There was a general like this, and he actually died in the battle. But his loyalty, the loyalty to his men was so great that they actually felt inspired to sort of avenge his death or make it worth something and fight even better and even more. So sometimes it takes sacrifice on our part to be a good leader. It might take sacrifice of, you know, giving up some parties or a hobby that I might have that I want to instead invest myself in the purpose, in my mission, my purpose that Jeff was speaking about. And so I love the idea of making a list. How many of you on this call right now? And by the way, if you're still with us, I'd love if you drop in your favorite emoji, just so we know that you're still hanging in with us. I'd love to know that you're with us here, or your favorite takeaway that you've gotten so far. So how many people on the call so far have made a list, a conscious list, mentally or physically, of the team members that you want to attract, people that you want to team? What qualities do they have? Yeah. What, I'm not on a team, but the type of people that I like to work with on my team, my teaching team, my students, my classes, definitely. You should know what age they are, what gender, what location they're in, what qualities do they have? Are they dependable? Are they grateful? Are they entrepreneurs? Are they ambitious? Are they self-motivated? Or Julie wrote in, a leader is decisive and self-motivated. And do you want people like this? One of our MLM Millionaire Club members is on here, Ignacio, and he's always full of enthusiasm and positivity. My goodness. So do you want people like him on your team? And are you like that? Consider holding an attitude, a stance, a position of an interviewer when you talk with prospects. Is this somebody that I would like on my team, or are they going to drag the team down and complain? So who do you want specifically? Create your avatar, your ideal image person. You might even have a picture, or draw a picture, cut out a magazine picture of a person like this. Maybe it's somebody in a suit, or somebody getting off of their own airplane. You know, a leader. Who do you want? Do they have a family? Are they married? Do they own a home? Which, by the way, those are some of the top qualities that they found among the successful network marketers. And then rate yourself. Once you've got this, rate yourself and which of these am I? Because life is a mirror. And if you want to see who you're going to get on your team, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And see who you are. They say that this works for finding a mate as well. You know, people write down all the stuff. I want my mate to be, you know, generous and kind and handsome and sexy and rich and famous, or whatever that they want their mate to be. Are you all of these things? You know, or the psychological call. I want them to be giving. I want them to be kind. I want them to be patient. I want them to be all these things. So will you attract that before you are that? A person like that won't even be attracted to you if you are not like that, right? Why would a kind person or generous person be attracted to a selfish person? You know, attract, like attracts like anyway, right? And sometimes opposites too, but there can be opposite good qualities, but generally like, meaning good qualities attract good qualities. So let's see, what else? What next, Jeff?
So with that, guys, anybody that's in the Indianapolis area or surrounding, I know there's some people here, Ohio, different places. One of the things I'm doing is once a month, I get a group of people together and we're talking about attraction and things. I'm actually going to be going over the 15 laws of growth in a seminar here in Indianapolis on the 21st. It's actually on the card and I didn't read it, on the July 21st. So for those of you who are interested in the 15 laws of growth, this is the 21 laws of leadership, the 15 laws of growth. I'm actually going to offer anybody who's watching this actually a free ticket. It's $40 at the door, but it's a free ticket to anybody who wants to actually come see this that's part of this group. So I'm doing that just for this group. If you're on here, if you're watching, if you see that, that's going to be a possibility to come network with other people. It is, non-company specific. It is anything. This is just something that we're putting on once a month to raise the bar and teach other people about. We're going to go over some basics. We're going to go over Maxwell's training on the back half. It will come with a 3-ring binder to go through this training. So, again, the law of magnetism, those that give back, you're going to find more people that give back. Those are things that we're wanting to do. So that's available. Also, tomorrow is Friday. So Friday is the conclusion of the week. And we're going to go over the law of connection tomorrow. So for those of you who are joining us, I appreciate everybody who's on. Of course, always like, share, comment, tag somebody who needs to hear this information. If you're watching the replay, type in replay. But again, what's your biggest takeaway? I see a bunch of takeaways here. Julie's put a takeaway. Victoria's put a takeaway. What was your biggest takeaway from this particular lesson about magnetism? What did you learn? What I found is if you write down one thing you learn each day and you do that 365 days a year, you're actually getting 1% better a year. And imagine in a period of 3 years, you've gotten 1,000% better. If you're 1,000% better, you're going to attract new people. You're going to attract different people. You're going to attract the people, not just that come on the team, but the people you want to come on the team and build with. And here's what I found. You're going to attract a lot of people onto the team. But again, 27% are what? They're non-motivatable. They're negative sometimes. They're the people that you have to be careful how much time you spend with. 60% are motivatable, meaning you're going to be able to sway one way or another based on, watch this, based on your example. Are you able to attract the right activity based on your leadership qualities? 10% are motivated. They're going to be out doing something anyway. Do you have the leadership quality to pull them in the right direction? And then 3% are motivated, are motivators, where they're going to be able to bring other people on and into the team. So watch this. That means you have to bring in 10 people to have 1 to 3 people on your team doing something on a regular basis. One person is going to be so negative, it'll try to drag the whole team down. About 6 are going to be in the middle. So out of 100 people, you're really only going to have about 3 people who are really into it, really taking off, really doing it. 27 are going to be complaining and negative, and here's what's wrong. 60% are going to be in the middle, one way or another. Try to get the 60% to separate themselves from the negativity, and 10% are going to be motivated. Those are going to be the leaders. Those are going to be the ones out doing the activity. Watch. 3% are out, actually doing it and have the qualities and the abilities. 10% are in the learning phase of doing it. 60% are there at the event to learn how to get to the point where they're at the 10%. And 27% of people will tell you everything that's wrong with the event. That's just how it is. So understand the dynamics of what's going on, the law of magnetism, how it attracts, and it becomes easier. So if you've brought people onto your team and they're not necessarily going anywhere, the first thing to look at is where are you at? What are you doing? The mirror effect. And then the second thing is well, who do I want? I need to go out and bring on more people. Some people are like, what's wrong with my team? I'm like, nothing's wrong. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. The same thing is true with the gym. The gym will sign up 100 people. 3% will come dedicated. You can tell they belong to the gym. Why? Because look at their physical attributes. They're there every day. Those are the motivators. They're able to get other people. 10% are motivated. They'll show up regularly. I see them in the gym, every day, every night. I see them post stuff online. 60% are swayable. They go every once in a while. They have a membership, and then 27% will complain about the people who are always, oh my God, you're always at the gym. You're always doing this. You're always doing that. Well, if that's what you like doing, no problem. So just understand it's not just direct sales. Some people think these things only apply to direct sales. It applies to everything. It's very visual when you're trying to create something, how these lessons pop out. So with that, Bess, anything else to wrap up for today?
Well, yeah, a couple things. When you go to the gym and you see these top % people, do you tend to talk with these people about your business because you can spot the motivated ones?
Here's what's interesting. When I go to the gym, it's actually my time away from everybody. I don't talk to anybody at the gym. I was at the gym for years and people had no idea what I did. Eventually people actually walked up and the line of questioning is what do you do? Because I see you here at such weird hours. Are you homeless? I've gotten asked, are you homeless? Are you independently wealthy? Are you a trainer? I got asked a variety of interesting questions. But the majority of the time, I don't contact people. That's what's funny. I don't go after people. When I'm there, I'm focused on what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So you actually, how did the, yeah, so people come to you a lot. I know, they seek you out. When you mentioned the 27% that complain and that those people make you free, how is that? I didn't get that connection.
So what people fail to realize is that there are people who are negative that have gotten onto your team that are buying the product, right? They're buying the product, which meant if you had, instead of 27 of them, if you had 27,000 of them, you would not have to work at all. They could complain all they want. They could show up early, complain, talk about everything. But what you have to realize is those are the people, the majority of the people who have sat in the rooms across the country are really the people that create, that passive income that comes in because they're buying. They could be complaining, but if you had more of that's what my friend said. My friend's like, you just don't have enough of them. And I was like, what? He's like, you need to learn to appreciate everything that's going on. He's like, what you don't realize is the customers that come in the store and complain about the lights and the aisles and everything, they come to every store. You don't think people complain? Think about how many people complain about Walmart. Walmart is doing all right. I mean, Amazon just recently beat them. But don't people complain about Amazon too? Maybe not yet, but there's a group of people, oh my gosh, Amazon sent me the wrong and my package was damaged and they didn't show up until 9 o'clock. Well, before you had to go get everything, people would complain about Walmart until you go outside the country and you realize Walmart isn't everywhere. And you're like, hey, I really want to go pick up. And then you look around and you're like, is anything open here? They're like, yeah, if you break in. They're like, nothing's open. We were in a foreign country in the middle of nowhere. They're like, there's no Walmart, CVS here. What are you talking about? So some of the conveniences, and that's what I mean by, it's good to travel and it's good to meet new people, because as you experience and work with different people and go to different places, your appreciation of what you do have changes. Perspective.
Okay, thanks. I want to say hi to Jean Brock, a good friend. Also with Joyce and other people from Austin. Jeff, I want to thank you for that wonderful, generous gift that you're offering all the members of this group and of this MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show to come. Thank you so much for that gift. And yesterday we had a question add on to yesterday's show dialogue from Joyce Chalkowski from Austin, Texas. And she was wondering, what's your perspective on being in 2 network marketing companies? I'll just, I'll let Jeff speak first on that. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Okay. So 2 companies. What I would say is, it's, my recommendation is don't. But I do feel that there are certain companies and products that it does make sense to not only have their product, because I own multiple products inside the industry, but being in another company, you have to choose your focus of what you're doing. Most people can't operate one thing well, let alone 2. That's kind of, the rule of thumb. And, it's not necessarily the products that are the conflict. It's basically the opportunity that is the conflict. So a lot of people say, but this company has nothing to do with that company. That's true, but they both have an opportunity attached to them. So it's the opportunity that is actually the issue. Just like a real estate agent can't join two separate companies, one or the other. Attorneys have to be very careful about belonging to one firm and then working anywhere at another firm. And even in the attorney, they'll sort of allow it, but there has to be a constant checks and balances to what's going on, so there is no conflict of interest. You don't work at McDonald's and Burger King. You can't be an executive at Microsoft and at Apple at the same time. So which one are you building? So what happens is people are attracted to what you're doing. So they're also attracting to what you're committed to. Would you be attracted or committed to somebody that's involved in four things? Would you be attracted to someone who's committed to two separate people? And the usual thing is people like, well, I'm married to this one, but I'm just dating this one. So that kind of sounds weird. If you said that in any other context, people might come and lock you up and put you away, or people might come looking for you with a bat. So you have to be careful how you do that. But saying that, have I seen that there's some situations where it's like, that product makes sense. My company doesn't have that product. My company doesn't serve that product, but I need the product for my everyday life. Does it make sense to sign up to get a discount? Does it make sense to sign up to be a wholesale? If I'm going to buy this on a regular basis, I think financially that's where it makes sense. But building two things, showing up to two things, because eventually what will happen is both of those companies will have an event at the same time. Now, where are you going? Which one are you going to? Both of those companies have a call at the same time. Which one are you going to? Both of those companies will have some leadership thing that you're supposed to be at the same time. Which one are you committed to? So that's where the confusion comes in. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I do have friends that have multiple incomes, but typically they're affiliates of programs, or typically it's internet marketing based. It's not network marketing or direct sales based. So I think it really depends on the specifics. And if you're amazing at what you're already doing. I can't remember who the famous person was. I think it was Johnny Depp. He said, if you love one person and you've left them for another, always choose the second. The reason being is if you've left for a second, it'll probably happen again. But if you've left for a second, then stick to that one, because that's why you left in the first place. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that was his philosophy when it comes to businesses. People do get romantic, weigh out all the options, talk to, whoever your guide is inside of business and say, hey, let's commit to one thing and knock it out. And here's my thing is, if you're going to try to build two things and you don't have one of them to six figures, your hope of building two simultaneously in any direction is probably zero.
Yeah, we've never seen that done, have we? We've never seen anybody do that in this profession. Another thing is that the depth. Like if you build two shallow ones and you're not yet at the high percentage of getting that back, or residual income, just think if you put all that effort into one, you'd be getting paid more for the same effort than the two shallow teams that you build. And also people watch you and they can get confused if they see you in one or two or more companies. It's easier to brand yourself if they say, oh, Joyce, and they immediately equate that with a certain product or a certain company. But if there's two, then it sort of splits their attention, it splits their mind, it can confuse them too. So Joyce, did that answer? Correct. She said, thanks, I hope so. There's a lot of big discussion on this, and I have seen people successfully do two, to where maybe one was a product, one was a service that seemed to network or support that product too. Although you can only build one big, right? Because that's just the physical impossibilities of it. So we thank you everybody for watching. The replay is going to be on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group, and you can go there and request membership if you're not already. And did you know that when you hop on these Facebook Lives, you can turn on a notification so that you're notified every time that we come on, Monday through Friday at noon. Sunday is our class. We teach a skills class called the Quick Start Basics Foundation of the 10 Core Commitments for Network Marketers. And all this stuff is our free stuff. That there is our paid class. I'll put a link in the comments. There are some people on here right now who are in that class. If you'd like to leave a comment, what you think the value has been, We'd love to hear that. We've been getting a lot of testimonials. I'll put a few of them in there for you. Anything else, Jeff?
I think that's it. Tomorrow, the Law of Connection. We look forward to it. Let's go ahead and rock it out. I hope you guys had a good time. And if you're watching the replay, have a question, have a comment for either one of us, please leave it in the comments and or direct message us or instant message us, and we will get right back to you as soon as we can. Thank you so much for watching.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Raise the bar.